You say in the patch.
Do you know what, Paul, mate?
Working.
You know that when you were waiting to come on and you thought maybe I should have hung up the phone?
Well, he did. I'm sure he did shoot people.
I think you should have trusted your instincts.
In light of Prince Harry's court case starting this week against the Daily Mail group, I thought it would be good to revisit some LBC calls from people who just have complete, unnecessary and unusual hatred for Harry and Meghan. It's died down, obviously, somewhat, but the time of both of these calls was when it was kind of full on. And yeah, it's just really interesting and funny. One's from Natasha and one's from James. If you want to see more videos like this, hit the like and subscribe buttons and don't forget to ring the notification bell so you never miss a video. Now let's watch this together and then I'll give you my thoughts at the end.
I thought this article that Meghan Markle wrote really over the top. It was like the word she used, it was just a bit of attention seeking to somebody that I believe is very insecure through her, background, and she has to draw attention to herself like she's the only one that's had a miscarriage. My daughter had a miscarriage when she was on IVF and then took 5 more years to get pregnant. And I don't understand about this thing that you can't tell anybody that you're pregnant after until you're 3 months. It's ridiculous. You do what you like. You want to tell your
But people
friends or
don't,
your
though. That's
family.
the point. And it takes pioneers, people like Meghan, who have a platform and a spotlight. I mean, I'm interested. Have you actually read the article?
No, I heard it read over the radio.
Right, because in the article, Meghan makes the point that the reason that she's speaking out is to facilitate those conversations amongst people who maybe they aren't able to speak openly about what's happened to them, and to give anybody who hasn't been affected by miscarriage more empathy and more understanding of what it's like. So she's very much not making it about her. And I wonder, the first thing that I thought when I heard about this article was, we have these royal women for whom the media are utterly obsessed. Everything they do, Kate Middleton gets a fringe and it generates headlines. We're obsessed with everything they do. And it feels to me that Meghan with this, and also when Diana spoke about her bulimia, it was a kind of, okay, if you really want to know, this is what's been going on with me. It almost represents a kind of a breaking point. Then for people to say that it's too much information seems to me to be the height of hypocrisy. Do you think there's anything in that?
What, the fact that she's openly said about this miscarriage, that there is hypocrisy around it.
No, I think it's.
I find Meghan Markle a very, very insecure person, and I think that she's quite controlling. And
what are you basing that on, Brenda?
I base it on very similar situation to my son, who married a very insecure lady, a girl, and I see so many similarities in Meghan and Harry. Harry is in a situation now which is completely foreign to what he had in a Hollywood, Hollywood setup, money orientated, and you look back and see Meghan, I didn't see one time when she wasn't grabbing hold of his hand or she wasn't had her hand on his back, sort of moving him forward, that she is in control. And I think that this article, which I felt it quite sickly, to be honest.
Okay, Brenda, well, clearly not a fan of Meghan. I have to say, it's like we have learned nothing from what happened with Princess Diana, that we have these people who speculate based on whether or not somebody is holding hands from the front or the back. That's a famous trope that body language so-called experts refer to, who take a gazillion pictures of these women and create these narratives about them being controlling and jealous and attention-seeking. It's like reminiscent of medieval witchcraft. They'd be burned if they lived in a different century. And then these kind of passive, noble men that we imagine that they've bewitched. And we are obsessed with them to the extent that, in the case of Diana, she died. in the case of Meghan, there is so much speculation about this woman. And when you take away all of the gossip and the hearsay, I cannot see that Meghan Markle stands for anything other than good. She's a feminist. She believes in equality. She's spoken about Black Lives Matter. It seems to me that she just wants everybody's lives to be a little bit better, including her husband Harry's. I've got a lot of time for Meghan Markle. I'm not a royalist by any stretch of the imagination. Do I think that taxpayers' money could be spent better than on the royal family? Yes, of course I do. But we have a royal family. This is the situation we find ourselves in. And that young generation, Kate, Wills, Harry, Meghan, considering the amount of media spotlight that they have to endure, have made really intelligent use of it, backing causes like, for example, mental health. So, yeah, if you're going to come at me with this anti-Meghan sentiment, you had better be match fit.
Paul's in Croydon. Paul, what's he done wrong?
Yeah, hi again, James, how are you? He hasn't done anything wrong per se, but I can only talk from my point of view, and it's horrible timing because I was talking to a researcher, and by the time it finished, I thought, oh no, am I an ogre? Maybe I should just put the phone down. Prince Harry, for me personally, is like collateral damage for my own personal cynicism of celebs, people who I guess are celebrities, and I guess he is now a celebrity. Now he's not a royal, if that makes sense.
Not really. No, it doesn't. I mean, he's still Prince.
Anyway,
Prince.
So that's cool.
He's a prince. I guess that's a fairly... I mean, he's not a formal member of the royal family, but let's say he is someone who's managed to achieve profile, whether through birth or career.
Whatever glow is bestowed upon him, lucky him. I just don't want to hear it anymore. After the year I've had, I think people have had, me personally, I just can't.
Did you have just to check what it is you're saying. So when we did our when we marked Mental Health Awareness Week a moment ago with Shirley Bassey, Joanna Lumley, Charles Dance, David Beckham, Jessie Lingard, Jamie Oliver, Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, and Anne Marie, did that stick in your craw as well?
No, because
why not? They're celebrities.
Because they're offering a service. I understand that, but
they were reading out a poem. This fella's talking about his own pain.
Yeah, but his pain can be subsided slightly, although everyone's pain...
He's talked about how he achieved that.
I should finish my sentence. Everyone's pain could be... his pain can be subsided slightly, but everyone's pain is important, including his.
Yes, but he's talked about his in the hope of helping other people deal with theirs, and he's talked about overcoming his, or subsiding, which is... I don't know that that's a word in this context, but he's talked about overcoming his... Let me finish my sentence. He's talked about overcoming his, and you're complaining about other people who haven't overcome theirs.
No.
Well, what exactly is it then, in a sentence? So I say, what's he done wrong? And you say, he talks too much about his pain, and because other people have got pain, that gets on my nerves.
I think, in a sentence, I am slightly tired of celebrities, if the word is virtue signalling, or offering
How can it be virtue signalling to talk about being in an Apache helicopter in Afghanistan, being chased by the paparazzi?
Sometimes possibly innocent people. For context.
Pardon?
You say in the Apache helicopter.
Do you know what, Paul, mate?
Working.
You know that when you were waiting to come on and you thought maybe I should have hung up the phone?
Well, he did. I'm sure he did shoot people.
I think you should have trusted your instincts.
And there you have it. Two different callers, two different hosts, but a crystal clear pattern of attack. Let's break down what we just saw. First, you saw a caller accuse Meghan of being attention-seeking for sharing her pain, only to admit under questioning that she hadn't even read the article. And Natasha, I think, perfectly exposed the raw hypocrisy, being obsessed with a person's life but denying them the right to speak about it truthfully. And then, in the second clip, the second caller, dismisses Prince Harry's trauma as privileged virtue signalling, which is a classic tabloid line, and it completely falls apart when James asks for a single reason for his complaint. But it's not a coincidence. As with most of the propaganda that is now infesting our airwaves and our algorithms, it's a carefully constructed trap. If Meghan speaks about her pain, she's a narcissist. If Harry speaks about his pain, he's a fraud. And in both scenarios, their personal trauma is systematically invalidated, twisted, and used as a weapon against them. And these phone calls are the real-world evidence of what Prince Harry is arguing in court right now against the publishers of the Daily Mail. He claims they have created a hostile, toxic environment, and these callers are just the proof. They are repeating the exact narratives and buzzwords that have been pushed for years by the very media that Harry's fighting against. And this is what that hostility sounds like in the real world. So what are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure you hit the like and subscribe buttons for more. Thanks for watching.